Please welcome to the stage CDT President and CEO Nuala O'Connor.
Good evening. I promise I'm almost the last thing standing between you and dessert or drinks. Next year, the Center for Democracy and Technology turns 25 years old. Yeah. And this summer, I turn 50. Yeah. Woo! Which makes me officially old enough to be CDT's mother, apparently. But I am not your mother, as I keep telling the staff. CDT already has several mothers, or more precisely, founders who were women. Jan Lori Goldman. Jan Lori Goldman is one of our founders, and she is not here with us tonight, but we look forward to celebrating her and celebrating with her at the 25th anniversary and in the years ahead. Along with Jan Lori were Jerry Berman and Danny Weitzner, and Jonah Seiger and Deirdre Mulligan, both of whom are with us tonight. We are grateful to all of them for their vision for this wonderful organization. And tonight, we want to especially honor Deirdre. Deirdre has served this organization as a leader, as a staff member, as board chair for almost all of the 24 years of its existence. This is her last Tech Prom as a board member, and we thank her. Now, it's a funny story how Deirdre and I met, although we went to law school together. We first met on the opposite sides of the CDT conference room table. I won't tell you what you said to me back then in the 1990s. It wasn't very nice. We were representing different constituencies and different organizations, but we were united then, as we are now, by a love of technology and a genuine belief in the power of the internet to make people's lives better. And yet, here we are today. The conversation around technology, in this country at least, and in many parts of the world, is not so good. Techlash, some are calling it, just the unruly teenage years of a new industry, or the normal maturity model. But tonight, mindful of how much hard work there is ahead of all of us in this room, on free speech, on cybersecurity, and responsible data practices by institutions of all kinds, I'm going to talk about what's still good on the internet. And there is so much, and it starts with each of you. We are all online for good. I mean that in at least two ways. First of all, I do believe most of you are online with good intent, maybe not all of us, but most of you, and the technology is improving our lives each and every day. And second of all, barring some catastrophic event, we are online for good as in forever. We are not putting this genie back in the bottle, and we have no reason to want to. We are online to connect, we are online to innovate, we are online to participate, we are online to be heard. There are examples everywhere of this. First, of course, the example of our honoree tonight, Perry Chen, and the wonderful work he has done personally in founding Kickstarter and creating it as a public benefit corporation. By helping artists, designers, entrepreneurs bring their creative projects to life, Kickstarter is showing that innovation can be democratized globally. And in our work examining internet's impact on speech and information, we see powerful examples of how technology can be used to further our understanding. I look no further than my good friend Rainey Aronson at Frontline, who has built a digital library of online source documents so viewers and readers can probe and understand and even question the journalistic process. And of course, it's essential to remember the power of the internet to make a single voice heard and to create a movement like Me Too or Black Lives Matter or Never Again. These are just a few of the examples of how the internet, alongside good old-fashioned advocacy and protest and organizing, is driving new dialogue and certainly changing a few minds. And while for some of us these changes seem to have come very slowly, for others they seem to happen in an instant. And that's how change sometimes happens. It seems like nothing, and nothing, and nothing, and then everything all at once. And when that all-at-once moment happens, CDT is ready with our working groups and our white papers and our statements of principle and position, and yes, our ability and our willingness to compromise. That dirty word that democracy was founded on. And this year, we are certainly focusing on the democracy part of our name, doubling down on the democracy, as I like to say, and the values we hold so dear. Here are just a few of the things we're working on at the intersection of democracy and technology. Election cybersecurity. Fair elections are essential to our democracy, and voting systems must be accurate, secure, and trusted. That's why CDT is helping election officials around the world address critical cybersecurity issues facing their countries. We are working with officials at all levels, at federal, state, and local levels, to ensure that citizens have confidence in the integrity of their vote. AI. Another CDT focus is the algorithms that run our digital world, from news and information to advertising and content management, to make them more both ethical and accountable. We are exploring the ways that existing power structures and bias can unintentionally be baked into AI. And through our Digital Decisions project, we have created online tools so that the developers can serve as the first line against unintended bias. We are working with government agencies to ensure that the rights of the citizen are at the forefront of any AI system when it is used for critical public initiatives. And the hardy perennial, privacy. CDT has long been at the forefront of the debate on the responsible use of personal information and data across all sectors: government, private sector, health, education, finance, children. We continue to do the hard work, bringing diverse viewpoints together, getting people proximate to one another. But it's time to move beyond the headlines and do the hard work of creating an enduring, practical framework that protects the digital self in the internet age, one that neither unduly burdens individuals nor stymies innovation, but that promotes the best of human agency and human dignity. It's time for a comprehensive federal data protection framework. I'm still betting on an omnibus federal privacy law in my lifetime. You now know how old I am, so we've got some time. But let's make this happen. I understand this means a lot of hard work for all of us in the room, whether we work in advocacy or in the private sector or in the government, and all of us need to do some fresh thinking in this area. It's not enough for the same old jargon, the same old frameworks, the same old terms, even notice and choice. We need new thinking and new constructs, and even more, we need new and diverse voices at the table. We must be truly intersectional. Otherwise, the solutions we create will be inadequate for the country and the world in the years ahead. I recently met a very young woman, a recent college graduate, who had a fluency with data protection that I found remarkable, and it reminded me of all of us working in the 1990s in this area, because she knew instinctively what her rights were and how they might be violated. And she used words like agency, the ability to speak and move and associate in internet space without undue interference. Control over one's own data and self-representation online. And transparency, a basic working knowledge about what data is collected, and even more important, how it was going to be used to make decisions about the information that we see. She recognized a necessity to being online, but said that the outcomes, whether good or bad, were not inevitable. And she recognized that we should have some choice in how our data are collected and used. But she didn't really use the word privacy at all. In fact, one of my CDT colleagues said just the other day, I wonder if privacy might simply be too small a construct. This is dignity, this is values, and it is respect for the individual. A recognition of the practical realities of life in the digital world. That is the space where CDT lives in the real world with real and hard problems, working on practical policy that affects and enables the technology in our daily lives. Achieving this takes honest and hard conversation about the positives and the negatives of technology. And it's easy right now to focus on the negative. But when others zig, CDT zags. We are not buying the conventional wisdom that technology today is all bad, any more than we bought the conventional wisdom 25 years ago that it was all good. It is just as good as we make it. All of us, the creators, the makers, the engineers, the policy wonks, the lawyers, the innovators, and the founders. Each of us who is present every day online. You get to decide each day, in ways large and small, are you online for good? Thank you.